Thanks, Amanda. Can we begin with roll call, please?
Sure. Okay. Mr. Antonio,
Here.
Mr. Badger, Mr. Bleefeld,
Here.
Ms. Chiavacci,
She's right there.
okay, Mr. Golson,
Present.
Ms. Karianakis,
Here.
Dr. Morris,
Here.
Mr. Walker,
Here.
Mrs. Ginsburg,
Here.
Harrison Ernst,
Here.
Reed Harris.
Here.
We have 8 present, 1 absent, and 2 student representatives.
Great. Thank you so much. Would everybody please join me now with the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I do want to welcome everybody here this evening, all of our visitors and guests. And I did want to start the meeting by just taking a moment of silence, since it is the 1-year anniversary of October 7th. I know it's an event that did touch upon the lives of many individuals within our community. So I did just want to take a moment, if we could. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right, if we go to our agenda, we do first list out all of our prior meetings. The board did meet on August 19th for a regular public board meeting, then on September 23rd for a curriculum and technology committee meeting, and September 30th for a work session. And then we do list out our upcoming meetings. On October 14th, we have our Racial Equity Oversight Committee meeting, October 21st, Health, Wellness, and Safety, followed by Policy. And then October 28th, a work session, and November 4th is our next regular public board meeting. We have no presentations this evening, so we'll go first to our first public comment period. And I will read our instructions because we did recently change the instructions. The board appreciates hearing from the community. A maximum of 5 speakers will be heard on the same topic. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. In the interest of fairness and in order to treat all speakers equally, it's board practice not to engage in dialogue with speakers. When appropriate, we will post follow-up responses on board docs. If you're in person, please make sure when you're coming to the podium to please make sure you state your name and your municipality of residence. And same when you're virtual, we'll do the same there. And if you're first time in a while, we do have a buzzer, just so that I don't have to watch the clock. I like to pay attention to the speaker, not to scare anyone. All right, so we do have a few for our first public comment period, and this is for agenda topics. Mark Kamen.
Thank you. I'm a parent of 2 elementary school girls. It is the board's responsibility to solicit input from the community. This is on your website. Your own policy provides that you are to act as the general agent of the residents of the district, as our general agent as it concerns public education. I seriously question how you could claim to act as our agent when you have been given no direction as to what we want in a superintendent. There's been no solicitation, and your failures here are a serious dereliction of duty. It pains me to have to address fellow Democrats about the actions that you have taken. Actions that disenfranchise. Your actions here, your decision to bypass a comprehensive, transparent search process without public input is nothing short of shameful. Board policy, section 900, code 903 says the board shall actively seek the best qualified and most capable candidate for the position of superintendent. The board may determine the processes for seeking these applicants, but inherent in this policy is that there is, in fact, a process. and one that involves actually seeking candidates. And as you are required, yes, soliciting input from the community. Nothing in your policies or the public school code that governs you provides that the board may abandon the process altogether, sidestep your responsibilities in favor of your own unilateral, undemocratic, and frankly, lazy appointment of the next person in the room. 13 districts in the area have undergone searches. They've gone through transparent, multi-phased processes, beginning with the solicitation of feedback from the community, using that feedback to seek and review applicants, and then guiding the selected candidate once he or she is appointed. What you have done is unprecedented. I do not think Dr. Dewan has necessarily earned taxpayers' confidence in her ability to best serve the community moving forward, particularly in these increasingly challenging, polarized times. She has not earned mine, but she is, of course, entitled to prove herself through a transparent search process with public input, and in which she can be compared to the other candidates that you, the board, are required by your own policy to seek out. A process like every other school district has engaged in. And if you continue going down this path that you are setting the district up for failure, ensuring there is nothing but contempt for anything that you or Dr. Dewan does moving forward, signaling that you have no interest in serving the community, and suggesting that we should maybe remove you under Section 318 of the Public School Code for neglect of duty, or at a minimum, you are signaling that you are not worthy of our vote should you seek re-election. I urge you to suspend the vote for successor or otherwise vote no on Dr. Dewan in November, and instead do your jobs and conduct a sophisticated, comprehensive, thorough search for a qualified candidate that we, your taxpayers, your principals, the parents of the student body deserve and demand. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Amanda, is there anybody registered online?
Yes, we have one hand. Or actually, no, we have no hands raised online.
No hands? Okay, then we'll move to our next in-person speaker, Amy Hughes.
Okay, thank you. I know you can't say, but I'm guessing that agenda item 9.1 might be in regards to the FAPE due process hearing that the district lost. That was hard to read. My heart breaks for that family and what they had to endure here at Wissahickon. I'm sure it was the same for all of you. And as usual, we have an agenda item to provide outplay services and tuition costs for even more students. I've lost count and I have to resubmit my RTKs with the official form. I'm out of printer ink. If we could be allowed or able to submit those electronically, that would save my life. That would be amazing if you could consider that. But I have no doubt that the number of students that we are outplacing is on the rise and has steadily been on the rise for quite some time. We are failing our special education students like never before. As the parent of one, my personal experience here at Wissahickon was excellent, and my child was fully supported throughout her entire Wissahickon career. It was not easy. In fact, at times it was nothing short of a battle. Sadly, my experience is not the norm, and it's not one that I think that I would have if I was in today's Wissahickon. There seems to be no method to the madness. In some cases, it appears that we're just flat out refusing to provide services. And in some cases, we cannot provide them fast enough, as long as they're not here. I don't know if it's because it's too hard or we're digging our heels in too deep and we can't get out of our own way, but it feels like we're not even trying in some cases. And every special education parent knows or learns very quickly that if you make waves or if you don't play nice with the people in charge, you have really got an uphill battle. The bullying is real here. And even if you want to pretend and classify it otherwise, it's coming from the top down. These agenda items are just one example of where and how far we have fallen. And it's disheartening that we are no longer supporting our students the way that we once were. I remember when WIS was the place to be. was highly regarded and highly recommended by every special education group around the main line and the surrounding areas. I'm heavily involved in all of them. And today, when I go on those pages and I meet with those groups, it is exactly the opposite. It is, do not send your child here, not unless you're looking for a way to pay them away to go someplace else. It's embarrassing. This is an insane amount of money to be paying out. And in some cases for services that we might be able to provide here that could potentially benefit many students instead of giving up and outplacing them one by one. I know we can do better because I remember a time when we did. And I think that we can get there again with the right leadership, but you've got to put in the work, and you've got to hold them accountable.
Thank you, Amy. Harrison, do you mind getting a few more chairs? Thank you so much. I was gonna say, Reed, if you could help. Reed, do you mind helping too? Thank you. One registered online, Amanda?
There are no hands raised online.
All right, then we'll move to our next speaker. We have Rob Walker. Oh, actually would this be first one? Actually, Rob, I don't think actually yours are gonna be first comment period. They're gonna be second comment period. I'm sorry. I just was looking at your topic. We'll move you to second. Okay, sorry about that. Susan Anhorn.
Hi, my name is Susie Anhorn. I'm from Whippane Township. My daughter is Bayla. She is in 7th grade at West Middle and has been in the district since she was in kindergarten. I don't often come to these school board meetings, mainly because I own a business and predominantly work at night, but I have been a voice in the community, being more outspoken in the last 2 years about a very important issue to me, and that's bullying. It's my understanding from reading a lot online that a search was not conducted, and Dr. Dewan will be our new superintendent starting in June. I have some apprehensions about having her as our new superintendent based on my personal issues with bullying and her opinion on the matter after sitting across the table from her at several occasions in the last 2 years. Setting those personal feelings aside, my biggest issue, like everyone else, was why were we not informed of this happening? The last 8 years I've been in district where we came from Stony Creek and now in the middle school has been a terrible experience for us personally. The bullying has gotten completely out of hand with the lack of consequences from these students due to the softer approach of the higher administration, one of which was overseen by our superintendent and assistant. My daughter has experienced sexual harassment, physical abuse, gun gestures, and my personal favorite, fat shaming, for the last 8 years with little to no consequences that happened to these students because of the lack of support from the higher administration. I sat with them several times explaining the commentary my daughter endured with little to no response other than WIS has failed you and your daughter. Here we are a month into school, and she has already experienced a magnitude of fat shaming and verbal abuse from the same group of boys repeatedly. I won't repeat in detail what they have said to her, but I can promise you that it is something that would make you sick to your stomach and pray that isn't your child doing it. My point in saying all this is that this has all occurred under their watch. And although we are one student and one family, I strongly believe one is too many. Finding a candidate who agrees with that is the most important thing for the safety of this entire district, because we all know what mental health can do to a child. I can tell you that candidate is not here tonight. So I simply ask that you respect the families here and do us a solid by conducting a much needed search to make this a better place for our kids. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie.
There are no hands raised.
And there were a couple that were checked off as second comment period, but I think they would fall under the first, actually. Lynn Simon?
I'm Lynn Simon, and I am a resident of Whippane, and I hate public speaking, but we're going to do this. Let us start with the positive. I fully acknowledge that your school board position responsibilities are immense and often thankless. I know you have poured countless hours into trying to make WIS a great school district, and you've sacrificed spending time with your own families for the sake of helping the greater good. I've tried my best to thank you as individuals wherever possible, as opposed to only approaching you when I have negative feedback. Now on to the constructive criticism, which is essential in working through challenges. There's been a lack of transparency and dialogue regarding several key topics at present, but namely the promotion of our assistant superintendent into the superintendent role. As I stated in my email, you should have conducted a search, regardless of any factors which you claim precluded you from doing so. WIS is a top school district, and to maintain our position as such, we should be following similar processes to our competitors, all of which conduct proper searches as part of succession planning. Upon conducting a search, you may have come back to asserting that Dr. Dewan is the best fit for the role, but in absence of doing so, the claim loses all merit since it exists in a vacuum. The public should, at the very least, be informed on exactly what attributes you were looking for, what the goals are for the superintendent's contract duration, how the candidates exhibit said attributes, and how they will work to achieve your goals. No detail has been provided to the public, and I can only speak for myself when I say I do not accept this lack of transparency. Look at how much effort we've put into other Wissahickon initiatives. The Time Change Project went on for a year plus. It involved community surveys, listening sessions, consultants, etc. Why should the superintendent search be conducted any differently? I'm also aware of the major stress the middle school scheduling changes are causing to both the middle school staff and the students. Why are their pleas being met with inaction? In a stellar school district, I would expect that the challenges are met with potential solutions. Though I recognize this is a separate topic, I would be remiss if I didn't publicly mention the abysmal email sent out by the district as a response to October 7th. We are exactly 1 year out from that horrific tragedy, which directly impacted many members of our community across multiple faiths. We never saw any course correction or any efforts made to ensure the impacted community felt heard. I know all of you are wonderful people, but many of us feel there's an empathy deficit when it comes to matters impacting many district families, and it is becoming harder to look past. Your constituents need to start seeing movement in the areas which are causing the most stress. If we are concerned that potential presidential candidates may move us away from a democracy to an autocracy, we should be looking inward to ensure this isn't happening on a local level right in front of our eyes.
Thank you, Lynn. Amanda, is anyone online?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, let me just see if there's anyone else that has a first comment period. Adrian Ames, yours mentions the superintendent search. Did you want to comment now? We could just, yeah, why don't you just do it now? Yeah, that's fine. And then that'll be our fifth one, and then we'll be done with the first comment period.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Ames. I'm a resident of Lower Gwinnett. I have an 8th grader at the middle school, a 5th grader, and a kindergartner at Lower Gwinnett. I'm a 7th grade teacher in Colonial, and I come from middle school experience of 19 years of teaching with that middle school model. I wanted to talk about the middle school schedule because of how valuable it is to have that collaborative time with colleagues. It is unbelievable for me to hear the lack of the collaborative effort that has been given in time to the middle school teachers. I feel like it's a huge negative for our students at the middle school. And for me to hear that it has been since last year that Mrs. Test came and spoke about how disappointed the middle school teachers were feeling about the schedule and asked for help in making efforts to make that change for the collaborative time. At the middle school that I'm at, we have 3 days a week where we have 30-minute team times with our team teachers that are all the core teachers, including special ed teachers, administrators, and counselors. We do action plans at that time for any students at risk. We work with them to come up with plans with the family. It gives us time to really put into our students. In addition to that, on Mondays and Fridays, we have department time. And as a 7th grade science teacher, we are going through some extreme changes in the 7th grade curriculum across the board with science curriculum in general with the new standards. That time is invaluable to us. And to hear that the teachers in the science department at the middle school don't have that time, especially when there's all of these changes coming forth with the new steel standards, blows my mind. So I'm asking for you to really sit down and evaluate and hear your teachers. They're tired. And it's been an exhausting time for all of us in the past 5 years with everything going on with COVID and the changes of hybrid, et cetera. But now we're back to a new norm and we have to find a way to make that time work for the middle school teachers so that they can put forth the time and effort and talk about what matters most, which is the kids. In addition, I would ask that with the superintendent search, knowing that every single job post at the district level is public. We get emails even for any teacher, no matter how long they've been there. If they want to change to a different position, they need to apply for it just like everyone else. And we see that with administration and we see that with counselors, you name it, aides. So I feel like there's no questions asked that should be done at the superintendent level as well. Thank you.
There are no hands raised.
All right, then we will close our first public comment period. All right. Oh, Amanda, the camera. Oh, there we go. All right. Scroll down. All right, so now we'll move into the board president report. First, I will share some comments. Last board meeting, I did take an opportunity to thank Dr. Crisfield and share a little bit about Dr. Dewan. This week, I just want to talk a little bit more about our process for the community. I did have a little bit of it last week, but I did want to take more time last week to kind of talk more about Dr. Dewan and again, to thank Dr. Crisfield. But this process did not happen overnight, but was a result of several months of thought and discussion in executive session, which is typically where personnel matters are discussed by the board. And this type of discussion is typically in executive session because we often do need guidance and have discussions with our solicitor. During that time, as legal questions often do arise. Dr. Crisfield, though, did give his notice to us around the same time as Wade Coleman. And we conducted a search and found a replacement for Wade, Tim Fricker. And Dr. Crisfield's contract was coming to an end this past June, and we opted to extend it for the minimum term of 3 years, with the understanding that he was planning to retire after year 1. And just for informational purposes, superintendent contracts have set terms, and 3 years, Michelle, that's the minimum contract term that we can extend. Correct. So we did do the minimum term for Jim, again, with that understanding that he was most likely going to be retiring after that first year. And we did hold a special meeting this past summer when we did approve that contract extension, which did allow us that additional time to consider our options as a board. Between the time that he gave us that notice and this most recent meeting last week, the board did consider our options. We did consider the option of having an open search, as well as the option of hiring internally, as we did feel strongly that Dr. Dewan was the right choice for our district. During that time, many of us took the time to meet with her privately to discuss questions that we had for her about her qualifications, as well as how she would address various issues facing our district. Those that met with her were overwhelmingly satisfied with those responses that she provided to us. Many of us that sit here are not just board members, but fellow parents here in the district and share the same concerns that many other parents have. And I'm certain the questions we raised are ones that other parents would ask. Her plans on how she would manage behavioral issues that we are seeing in our schools, how we are going to continue to address the achievement gap that we've been looking at for the past few years, how we're going to strengthen special education programming for our students, among other important issues, too many to list. All 9 of us have gotten to know Dr. Dewan over the past 4 years. She's an exceptional educator, an amazing leader, and honestly, one of the hardest working individuals we know. When I ask Dr. Dewan for something, I don't even have to give her a time frame because I know it is going to be coming back to me later that day or the next. even if she says it's going to be a few days. And it will be more information than I even asked for. I think we have all witnessed her work ethic and dedication to this district and its students. I think the decision was certainly a hard one to make, whether we were going to do a search or hire internally, and it was by no means a decision made because we did not want to put the time in. For most of us, we spend a few hours a week already attending board meetings, between the meetings you see here this evening, committee meetings, reviewing documents, meeting with administrators, faculty, students, community members, touring facilities, MCIU, North Monco, PSBA events, among other activities. So time was certainly not an issue. Meetings are certainly something we're accustomed to, but we had a great candidate sitting right here. And the fact that we opted not to conduct a search in the end reflects how strongly we felt about hiring Dr. Dewan. We did not feel that we should waste funds on a search or time of other individuals coming here to interview when we had a great candidate sitting right here and one that fit exactly what we wanted for this district. We understand the concerns that have been raised, and we look forward to everyone getting to know Dr. Dewan better when we host a series of meet and greets in the year to come. Did any other board members have any comments they wanted to make regarding the process? Marshall? Oh, thought you were pressing your mic.
No.
Deanne?
I mean, I think, thanks for the comments, Amy. I think we knew going into this, if we had decided that we were going to appoint Dr. Dewan, there could be a little bit of blowback from that. So in a sense, the easier choice would have been to do a search, but when you do that, then Dr. Dewan would also have done a search, right? She would be under an obligation to also look for other jobs. And so I think I felt like I didn't want to lose her. She is really an amazing person. If you spend 20 minutes in a room with her, you are blown away by her character, what she knows about education, her passion, really. And I think I'm in a unique position, or we all are as a board, to get to know our administrators on like a personal level. And I do want to reiterate that like our only motivation is to do right by the district and the community. Like I don't get any special payouts or kickbacks or some consulting position once I leave this role. That's not how this works. I have 2 children in the district and I care about this district deeply. That's why I'm sitting here. So deciding not to do a search was because we didn't lose her. So you must be saying she must be incredibly special. Yes, that is the main reason. And I really do believe that she is the best leader of our district going forward. Thanks.
Would anyone else like to make any comments?
You guys have all been very open with your comments in the past regarding issues at the middle school, other comments like that. We hear those. We're listening to those. And we understand that your expectation of us is overseeing the administration to make sure that those issues are addressed. That's why we felt that Dr. Dewan was the best choice for the children, the families, and the teachers in the district.
Any other comments? Joe?
So, like my fellow board members, we were, I think, over the course of several months considering what to do to find a successor for Dr. Crisfield. The main fork we were considering was doing an external search or promoting from within. And I think you heard a little bit from Amy's statement and some of the comments from other board members that we unanimously felt that we had an excellent candidate in-house already, and that going the path of a succession plan internal was superior to going through an external search. But I think the deeper issue maybe from a lot of folks in the community, as well as folks here and present, and also with the comments and emails we've been getting, is maybe more about our effectiveness as a board in terms of communicating our process and our thought process. And I think, and I'm pretty sure there's more that we could have done to, I think, make people have a better understanding of, again, the thought process and the deliberation that we went into and how we got to where we got to. I don't think it changes the legitimacy of the path we're taking or the appropriateness of it, but I do acknowledge that I think me personally and we as a board collectively could have done a better job of making the broader community aware of our intentions and the overall process. We can't change, I think, what has already transpired, but I think what at least I can do, and I'm sure my fellow board members can do, is commit to having more effective communication about our process going forward.
Any other comments by board members? Ian?
I just have a question though, Joe, like, do you feel like we should have preempted Dr. Crisfield's retirement announcement by saying like some of our thought, like the transparency is that he announced that he was retiring and then we announced our plan. Like, I don't know how we could have like preempted his announcement. You know what I mean? What do you think about that? I'm just asking.
Oh, Deanna, you're asking me? Yeah, I'm not sure that I have the answers either, but I
Okay.
think, you know, there's probably some things that we could have done to make the community feel like they were more in the loop on what was happening. But again, at the end of the day, I don't think it changes the validity and legitimacy of the path that we're taking.
Any other board member comments? And Michelle, you were going to comment on the process?
Oh, I was just gonna say, as obviously Ms. Ginsburg had said, thank you. That the district has a policy and a process that they followed. They were not required to do a search outside of the district. They're not required to do a national search. And as Ms. Ginsburg mentioned, under the Sunshine Act, they're allowed to discuss the employment and appointment of an individual in an executive session where many of those discussions took place. So under the law, the board has not violated the law in this process of choosing Dr. Dewan to replace Dr. Crisfield when he retires.
All right, thank you, Michelle. All right. Any other comments from the board? All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on then to the approval of the district goals, which were reviewed at our last meeting. Were there any other further comments regarding the goals? There were changes made, I believe, correct, Jim?
Just number 3.
To number 3. Any other further questions or comments regarding the goals? If not, can I have a motion?
No, can I just quickly say that we did update the goal 3 about the enrollment stuff, and I'm really grateful for that pivot. I think it's the right move for the board and the district to have a pulse on that. Thanks so much.
Any other comments? All right, then, again, a motion.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any further comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. 6.2 is the ratification to appoint Eugene, Zeppi, and Deanne as 2024 PSBA delegates for the Wissahickon Board of School Directors. That's for that upcoming event. No, we just considered it. We're voting this week. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, superintendent report.
I have no report tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Assistant superintendent report.
Good evening. No report tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Board solicitor report.
Yes, thank you. We have an action item tonight, which is approval of a settlement agreement between the district and the family, which I understand was reviewed and discussed last week. So I'm looking for a motion to approve action item 9.1.
So moved.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Board secretary report.
There are 2 minutes for your approval, the August 19th regular board meeting and the September 23rd Curriculum and Technology Committee meeting.
All right, and both of these were reviewed last week. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Treasurer report?
There's the August 31st, 24 treasurer's report for your approval.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions?
Last week, I don't see it in this one.
You're right, it's not attached. Can you make sure it's attached this week's?
It's not attached.
But nothing's changed since last week, correct?
No feature.
No changes.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Danielle, human resources?
All right, good evening. Changes from last week's agenda are marked with an asterisk and can be found in bold in the details. These include retirements and appointment, extracurricular changes, salary advancement for educational attainment, and volunteers in items 12.1, 12.2, and 12.3. All other items were reviewed at last week's work session and have no other changes. So this evening, I'm seeking approval for action items 12.1 through 12.7. Thank you.
And just to be clear, this is where we're approving Jim's retirement. Okay, I saw that addition. Okay. Okay. All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All right, motion's made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, Communications Committee.
As an informational update, most of us were in the meeting that just preceded this meeting, which was a communications meeting. It was the first one for this school year. Kristen Rollings, our communications director, shared with us our patient survey. Sorry, I'm like in work mode. Our parent survey that was conducted last May. Those information will be. Are we posting that on our website? I didn't ask her. Oh, it's currently on our website. It's part of our Word docs document, sorry. And then there will be a deep dive for each building, administrator, like principals, vice principals, et cetera, for each school that will actually get more in-depth information for their specific schools. We then talked about some other community involvement that we are looking to conduct throughout this year. So keep your eyes and ears open, well, more your eyes, because it's all posted either on our website, social media, or it comes through email. That's all for today.
Thank you. Dr. Juwan, where is that on board docs?
It's on the communications
Oh,
board meeting document.
Yeah,
So
the
that's why I was
communications
confused,
committee
because it's
meeting.
not here, it's
Ah.
actually in the communications.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions? All right, thanks so much, Steffi. All right,
Sure.
Curriculum and Technology Committee, Dan?
Thank you. There are no changes from last week, and we are seeking approval of action items 14.1 through 14.7.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Facilities and Transportation, Joe.
Thank you. This evening, we have 3 action items for vote, and they're unchanged from last week. So I'm seeking an approval for action items 15.1 through 3.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions?
I just have a quick question, although it's not regarding these items. Tim, I just wanted an update. I'm sorry, I could email about this to you too, but about the project that I had started with Wade and then Rick from Land Concepts about the walking path and then the stop sign at the corner of Knight and Brookside Avenue. Are you familiar with this?
Mr. Russell did mention it to me, but I'm not that.
Okay, maybe we could meet or be in contact sometime this week about an update and then like just sort of a timeline for that project.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And Tim, I know we talked about this last week. I hate for stuff to be thrown out. We do everything in our power, right, to find other organizations that might need like, unless they're completely destroyed, I get that, but like, you know, if we have things that could potentially be used, we're doing everything in our power to like repurpose them, right?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Zeffie, are you eyeing the cassette players?
So according to Steve, it's a comeback, so I don't know, maybe we should hold on to them.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Finance Committee report, Steve?
There are three items from last week's meeting, 16.1, the financial report, 16.2, the list of payments, 16.3, the waiving of stadium fees for the Do Better for Steve 5K. None of those have changed since last week, so I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions?
Again, same comment here. The attachments are not here, so just like when we finalize this, we should just make sure that they're attached.
Amy, if I might just make a quick comment, in regard to the approval for the stadium fees for the Do Better for Steve 5K in October. It is a wonderful organization that provides a lot of resources to children, people of all different types who need anything that they can foresee. The organization is named after one of our former students, Steve Camerata, by his parents, who created the foundation on his behalf. And they do wonderful work. And so if you're able on October the 26th, this Saturday, I think it is, come on out. It raises money for all kinds of different projects, whether it's scholarships, whether it's providing transportation, computers, opportunities for kids, for sporting events. It does a whole host of good for the community. They're raising money now during the playoffs. Every home run that the Phillies hit, they earmark a certain amount to their charity. And so I urge you to become a part of it. It's in honor of one of our students, Steve Camerata, and again, a wonderful family that does a tremendous amount for our community. So wanted to make that clear.
Thank you, Marshall. All right, so we had a motion second. All right, any other comments? All right, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Policy Committee.
I have no informational or action items this evening. However, I will note that back by popular demand, we will have the policy committee meeting on October 21st at 7 o'clock virtual.
Great, thanks, Marshall.
Of course.
All right, Racial Equity Oversight Committee, Paul.
We have no items for this evening, but there is just a reminder that our next REAC meeting will be October 14th at 7 p.m. It will be online.
Great, thank you. All right, Health, Wellness, and Safety, Rosetta.
No information or action items. We will have a meeting on October 21st as well, virtually.
Great, thank you. And now we'll get to report of board representatives, extracurricular, Marshall.
There's nothing new to report this evening. Once we have our first extracurricular committee meeting, I will have a report for the board and the community.
All right, thank you. I reported on MCIU last time. North Monco. Next week, okay. PSBA, Dan?
Yeah, so just quickly, I wanted to mention that as part of being a PSBA liaison, I've decided to try to get more involved with our state representatives. Mine happens to be Missy Serrato. Some of you may have Liz Hambidge as yours, but I went to Missy's office hours and spoke with her representative. His name was Colin. He was very nice. And I talked to him about some of the challenges of school funding and public education, particularly around unfunded special education mandates. And he was very receptive, and so I do have a meeting with Missy herself set up for early November, which was the first time she could meet with me. However, Colin did say, this is very interesting to me, that Liz and Missy often get requests for meetings like weekly from people advocating for charter schools and not people advocating for funding for public schools. Like they say they'll get letters or emails or petitions or whatever, but people coming to meet them, very few in favor of public education. So I'm going to go with our special education presentation budget in hand and talk to her about what our school district and other school districts across our area and really state are needing to meet the needs of our students. And then I have nothing to report on ERC. We do have a meeting tomorrow afternoon.
So Deanne, I really appreciate you doing that. I think it's really important. I really often think about this, and I definitely don't talk to Matt, who's my representative, or Maria, who's our senator, enough about this. I mean, every time I have, they're like, oh yeah, but you know, we have to like repeat and repeat and repeat, and we're not, you know, we need them to come with us. And these folks need to talk to them as well, because it's our entire community, because not like the way we're funded, the way it's set up, the way that, you know, certain things are regulated. It's just, you know, things that we can't do unless laws are changed. So I think maybe we should probably kind of do some round robins between all those folks and have them like start talking to them. And I'm happy to do that with you.
Okay, yeah, I think community members are important. And then I just feel like my role as a school board member, where I'm really on top of, you know, knowing the budget and knowing, you know, what special education needs is, you know, hold some weight, hopefully. So yeah, I do hope that this is just the beginning of a lot of conversations with her, maybe even meeting with Liz. And I didn't know Matt was also in our district, so okay. Yeah. Right. So yeah, it's just really important to advocate for public schools. Yeah.
I would agree, and I would encourage anyone to try to set up a meeting and have those discussions. Jim and I took the opportunity to meet with Representative Bradford and with Representative Hambidge, discuss special education funding, mandates that aren't funded, charter school funding, and they were very receptive to sitting down and listening to us and our concerns. So I would, suggest any board member or community member setting up a time to meet with them and discussing these important issues.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, when we say like unfunded mandates, it's things that we have to do for students. And they are deserving of those things, but that comes from our budget, which takes away from our total education dollars that we're spending elsewhere. Again, these students deserve those services, but there's only a finite amount of money. We don't get a ton of federal funding. We take it from our local taxpayer, and it shouldn't, the burden falling on them is becoming unreasonable, in my opinion. So that is what we're advocating for. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, ERC, Dan?
Oh, yeah, I just said the meeting tomorrow, so that's it. Thanks.
Oh, sorry, was that? Okay, all right, so those are all of our reports, board representatives. We'll now move into our second public comment period. And I'll read my instructions again, since they have changed recently. The board appreciates hearing from the community. A maximum of 5 speakers will be heard on the same topic. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes in the interest of fairness and in order to treat all speakers equally. It's the board's practice to not engage in dialogue with speakers. When appropriate, follow-up responses will be posted on board docs. Again, whether in person or virtual, please make sure when approaching the podium, you state your name and your municipality of residence. And also, if you could state your topic that you're going to be speaking on. And we'll start with Beth Wood.
Hello, my name is Beth Wood. I live in Whitpain, and I'm the parent of a 5th and 9th grader in the district. I'm speaking on the middle school schedule. When my daughter was in middle school, I left every back to school night feeling like we won the lottery. And the reason I felt that way was because of the teachers. When I heard the middle school teachers come together last spring to express their concerns about the new master schedule, my heart broke for them. But I didn't doubt for a moment that this board and administration would hear their voices and take action to fix things. But I now know that this has not happened. I reviewed the Q&A section of board docs, looking for the board's response to public comments made at previous meetings on this topic. I found nothing. I will ask these questions now and send a copy of the questions for reference for the board. What is the district administration doing to address the concerns of the middle school teachers and fix the situation? What is the school board doing to prioritize this as an important issue that impacts all of us in this district who have current or future students of the middle school? I have heard that the new master schedule makes it difficult for students with special education needs to get the support needed from both their gen ed and special education teachers. Can the school board please confirm that this is true? I feel confident in my knowledge that it is true, and I am worried about the price our district will pay for failing to meet special education needs. I believe that the school board and central office have previously been provided with a list of the issues with the middle school schedule. I kindly request that a list of the concerns, without identifying any specific teachers or students, be made available by the school district for community awareness. I have heard about the complicated, many years backstory that has brought us to this point. But what matters now is what we do about it moving forward. If the new schedule doesn't work for the teachers and the students, then something needs to be done. Any of us could make changes at our own places of work, changes that on paper look to be great and have the best of intentions. But if the result is a toxic, dysfunctional work environment, then that is not the outcome that was desired. That is the situation we are in now. We will lose those talented teachers who are an asset to our district, and it's the students who will pay the price. When I told my 9th grader that I was thinking of coming tonight to speak on this issue, her immediate response was, quote, "Yes, definitely do that." I was taken aback by her passionate response. When I asked her why, she said that her teachers last year were stressed and struggled to meet the needs of students due to the new schedule. And in turn, students like her were also stressed and struggled to connect with their teachers and their peers. If the students can recognize there is a school-wide problem to be addressed, why can't this administration do the same? Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. All right, so our next speaker will be Carrie. Oh, actually, I'm so sorry, Carrie, hold on. Is there anyone online?
Yes, we have one hand raised.
Okay, who's raised?
Okay, so we have Christine.
Okay, Christine, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Or is your clock okay, Amanda?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna reset it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Thought maybe it wasn't working. There we go. Okay. Christine, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
It's on mute.
Christine, can you hear us? She's not unmuted. Christine, can you unmute yourself? All right, you know what? Christine, we'll come back to you. Carrie, Ferraro, do you want to come on up?
Hi, my name's Carrie Ferrero, Lower Gwinnett. I was fortunate to have a ninth grader who experienced the amazing team structure of the middle school when she was in 6th and 7th grade. And I'm here to advocate for our dedicated teachers and the urgent need for a revised middle school master schedule that better supports their needs and those of the students. While there are numerous glaring issues with the current schedule, I want to focus specifically on the amazing team structure at the middle school, or what was the amazing team structure. I must also express my disappointment in the board's lack of action regarding these pressing concerns. As a high-ranking school, we pride ourselves on providing an exceptional education. However, the recent changes to our master schedule have fundamentally undermined our team structure. This lack of collaboration time is not just a logistical issue, it directly impacts the quality of education our children receive. Teachers are feeling overwhelmed and unsupported. With only minimal common planning time, they're unable to meet effectively to discuss student progress, collaborate on lesson plans, strategize how to best support their students, especially those with special needs. This has led to a frustrating environment where they're forced to operate in silos rather than as cohesive teams our students deserve. I'm deeply concerned about the ripple effects of this situation. Teachers are actively seeking new positions because they feel undervalued and unhappy with the current structure and lack of support. We've already lost exceptional veteran teachers, some who retired earlier than planned, and without immediate action, I fear we will continue to lose more. This turnover not only disrupts the continuity of education for our children, but also diminishes the wealth of experience our school has cultivated over the years. I urge the board to recognize this is within your purview and is actually your responsibility to step in. We need to advocate for our teachers and demand the administration take their feedback seriously. Engaged scheduling specialists can help us design a master schedule that fosters collaboration, addresses the unique needs of our students, and ultimately reflects the high standards of our school. 2 closing points. First, Dr. Dewan oversees the Office of Curriculum and Instruction and is ultimately responsible for this failed master schedule. Second, Code 105 of the board's policy states the board shall be responsible for the curriculum of the district schools. The curriculum shall be designed to provide students the opportunity to achieve the academic standards established by the board. I don't feel that that's happening right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie.
There are no hands raised.
Okay. All right, Rob Walker. I forgot we had wanted to come back to you.
My name is Rob Walker. I am from Whitpain Township. The topic is the Bluebell Elementary construction. I have 2 children who have graduated from the Wissahickon School District, and I have 2 children currently in the Wissahickon School District. One is in middle school and the other one is a freshman in high school. I first want to state that what I'm about to talk about, Mr. Tinberger has nothing to do with, since he is new to the position and has been very responsive to everything that I've asked for. Over the past year, the construction at Bluebell Elementary has negatively affected the environment in which myself and my neighbors live in. They have exceeded noise ordinances several times to the point where I actually called the police. It took them a while to go over, so I went over and lost my cool at 11 o'clock in the evening. Thankfully, the police showed up shortly thereafter because I was seriously outnumbered. Lights are left on all night long to the point where we've asked teachers to pull the blinds down so that it's not shining in our bedroom and our kitchen all night long. The smell of tar filled our house daily in the spring. The rattling got so bad that pictures fell off of our walls. Trees that have been promised to be planted and replanted has not been done, and we haven't heard any solution to that as of yet. Essentially, this is all in my backyard, and my neighbors, 4 or 5 of us, surround the construction. But the real reason that I'm here tonight, along with several others, is my concern over the chiller that has been installed on the new addition of Bluebell Elementary. You all are probably very familiar with the noise that is occurring at the middle school, and it is my concern going forward that we will be negatively affected by the new chiller that has been installed. I am not an HVAC technician. I do not pretend to be. I simply bring it to the board's attention because the chiller is not on yet. It will be obviously when the school is up and running and when it gets hot. But I'd like it to bring it to your attention so that whatever can be done to mitigate that noise coming into our personal space be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Anyone online?
Yes, we have one hand raised. We have.
Is she still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. I'm glad you could get back on.
Thank
All
you.
right.
So I just wanted to make a quick comment about the middle school. I just wanted to make sure that regarding the master schedule, if that is looked into again, if that's something that gets reviewed, that we just consider that using the time of our teachers that are specialists. I have a special interest in the children with IEPs, and I just want to make sure that they're putting the class sizes together with a mind of a diverse mix of students, so that it's a little bit more in terms of inclusivity, that you're actually putting students who are going to have differences and not be a homogeneous mix of students. I've heard that there's large numbers of kids with IEPs in one class to try and utilize the special education teachers in like a one-stop shop type of situation, which wouldn't be very diverse and helpful for all of the students. And the time that the teacher would have available would be limited, because if they have higher level needs for time and attention, I can't imagine trying to do that for 25 students with a large number of students with IEPs. The other thing is with the schedule, I don't know how the teachers are getting to the CST meetings, IEP meetings, GIEP meetings, 504 meetings, parent conferences, getting together to actually brainstorm new lesson ideas and supports for kids. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just a lot of responsibilities that I would think maybe we could have a position such as a master scheduler that has experience with scheduling. It's just an idea. And also special education as a separate topic. I just think that we really need to look at the parent satisfaction again, about the communication within the district, whether or not we feel like we're being heard surrounding special education. I think that there's an issue in terms of the actual director in that program and whether or not they're listening to families. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments, Christine. All right. Next up, Amy Hughes, you wanted to go again? It looks like.
I'm going to stay in the car and listen to this. All right. Thanks for going tonight.
Christine, can you mute yourself, or Amanda, can you mute her? Hold on just one second, Amy. Figure out technology.
Okay. All right, Amy Hughes, Ambler Borough. The room's a little emptier tonight. I'm sad that our teachers were sent away. Code 105 gives you the authority to do something about the disaster over there, but after a year of entertaining them, wasting their time, you decided it wasn't their issue. I don't know why you did not just say that from the beginning, but you punted it back to an administration that has proven incapable at almost every turn. They botched your later start time initiative. They wasted your valuable time and resources on that, only to make it effectively dead in the water before it even had a chance. Our class sizes are larger than ever. They're only getting larger. There is no plan for the future that we can see. We are running out of room at the high school. A record number of teachers are sharing classrooms. The building is not going to magically grow like a new turf field. The board does not take your recommendations, rather or the administration does not take your recommendations, rather you blindly take theirs, and our children are suffering the consequences of that. There is zero accountability for not meeting the goals that you have outlined from them, from our perspective. Maybe that's a communication issue. It's clear we've got one. I have never before, in the 16 years that I've been in this district, been more concerned for the future of it. All that makes us great is being chipped away or driven away, and it's happening on your watch. This is no longer the WIS that I came to, that I struggled as a single mother to remain in, that I committed to, that I stand up here year after year, meeting after meeting, and plead with you to join me and to care as deeply as I do. I chose this for my kid because I believed that it was the best, and it was. But now I could not be more grateful that my last child in this district is finally safely at the high school, one of the remaining shining stars of our once great district, led by the absolute best administrative team that we have. And why you're not replicating that model over there is completely beyond me. I do not know how you're sitting by and doing nothing. Our teachers have put it on paper for you. They've put it on paper. They've stood right here at this very podium. They've looked at every single one of you in the eyes. Our middle school, they could not be more clear. They could not be more clear. Our middle school is not a safe place. It's not an inclusive place, and it hasn't been for a decade. The bullying is out of control, no matter what you want to classify the behavior as. It's bullying, it's out of control. You made the decision to promote the one ultimately responsible for and ultimately overseeing those that are responsible for these disasters. And Dr. Dewan might be the right person for the job, but we have no idea. You've given us nothing. We are supposed to blindly trust you, but you've given us absolutely no reason to. There's been nothing but silence until tonight. You finally told us why you think she's the best one for the job, why she's so amazing, and why it wasn't worth even considering anyone else. I want to get behind her and I want to support her. But based on what you've seen, the issues going on in the district that fall directly under her, you have no comparison. You don't care what the teachers or anyone else cares about until election time. No communication until we filled a room. We had to fill a room to get an answer. That doesn't fit well.
Thank you, Amy.
Is someone online again, Amanda? I heard.
Yes, we have Jennifer raising her hand online.
Okay, is she unmuted already? I hear someone talking already online.
You're good.
Okay, Jennifer, are you unmuted?
Hey, I'm unmuted now.
Okay, great. You can go.
Hi, Jen Rappaport from Lower Gwinnett Township. I was giving a call about a couple of things. Actually, issues at the middle school, which I think everybody pretty much has already covered. And really, I wanted to touch on the superintendent situation and the community. The community is trying to trust you. The community is hoping that you lead us in the right way. And you're a group of 9, and it's wonderful that you all agree that Dr. Dewan is the best choice, and perhaps she is the best choice. How do we know there's not somebody else? Maybe we have a longtime teacher that's been a teacher and now a principal and maybe wants to make that next move. How do we know there's not a superintendent in another district that's maybe looking to downsize or upsize into a new district that has many years of experience? The curriculum leadership over at the middle school is one thing that's really not going well. And that was a responsibility of that position. So the community is wanting you to do the right thing for all of us. And I do think it's great that you're all in agreement, but there's a lot of other people involved here. And you were selected by the community, and you should take into consideration what all these people tonight are saying. That's pretty much all I have to say. I think everybody else has pretty much covered everything just the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Is she still on, or did you, it looks like up in the corner. I feel like I can hear someone, Amanda. No one's there? Okay. All right, so we have reached 5.
That's.
Is that our actual recording, Amanda, or? We're okay, okay. All right, so we've reached 5 comments on the middle school topic as well as the superintendent topic. We do have some other speakers with regard to the AC unit at the middle school. Curriculum data, more specific topics such as freckle and world languages. So that's more specific than just middle school. And then academics and oppression. So we'll allow. All right, so we will, we'll talk about other topics now. So we have AC unit, that's Nick Militello. Militello, take it, okay, sorry about that.
I want to thank everybody so much for allowing me to speak. I was here 2 months ago for the school board meeting. I spoke on the noise from the Wissahickon Middle School chiller unit. At that point in time, I came in with information that I didn't know. I was wrong. I thought 5 years ago, the Wissahickon School District added air conditioning to the middle school that was built in, I think, 1974. Apparently, the air conditioning had always existed in the school, and our neighbor, Eric Rudolph, oh, by the way, Nick Militello, Lower Gwinnett, I forgot to say that part. Our neighbor, he is a professional engineer whose business and 40-year plus career was outfitting and regulating and installing manufacturing plants for pharmaceutical companies. His entire job was focused around compliance to community standards and all legal standards. He has sent many emails, but the most recent one was sent to you guys on Monday, September 30th at 4:30 p.m. I'm not going to go through that. It's redundant. What I am going to say is some highlights. When Wissahickon Middle School upgraded their air conditioning unit, and I can speak from this from me renovating properties in Lower Gwinnett, Whippane, and Ambler. I do real estate in addition to coaching. When I renovate, and I do so much as move a toilet from one corner of the room to the other, there's an extensive process of permits necessary. When the air conditioning units were moved from inside the boiler room, from a water-cooled system to an air-cooled system, the permits were rubber stamped the same day that they were received. He actually has a copy of all of them that were sent to you. There was no evaluation. There was no submittal of plans. It was, this is what we're doing. The next morning, they were back in the hands of the school district. My concern here is because it's one government agency working with another government agency, they just said, okay, do what you need to do. It's air conditioning, it's air conditioning. That's not the case. It went from a very quiet, never even knew the school district had air conditioning, but it did. It was contained and it was internalized in the building, so nobody outside heard it, to an external unit. And I'm sure it has to do with cost. A lot of what I'm hearing tonight with all of these people's concerns and mine has to do with the budgetary concerns. And I do not envy you your job. But what I am saying though, is the decision to put the air conditioning unit from the inside of the building to the outside of the building and the choices have created a neighbor and neighborhood concern. So thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Nick. Anyone online?
There are no hands raised. Oh, there's one.
Okay, before you start the clock, what is the name?
One moment.
Ms. Rappaport.
Oh, so she already went.
I'm sorry, Cheryl.
Cheryl, okay, I just want to note for the speakers online, we have covered, we had our 5 speakers for the middle school as well as the superintendent. So both of those topics have had their 5 speakers. So we're on to new topics at this point. You can unmute. Cheryl, can you unmute yourself? Okay, we'll come back to Cheryl. Okay.
Harry Kaiser?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Harry Kaiser. I live in Lower Gwinnett Township. I have two elementary students in the district. First of all, Mr. Antonio, thank you for taking some ownership for, the district could have done a better job with, transparency regarding the decision. And it's really a shame that you were attacked for it, for owning up to that. That was disappointing to see. I think one thing that a lot of our community members really would have liked to have through a superintendent search was the opportunity to say what we would like to see in a new superintendent. Dr. Dewan, it seems as though you're going to be the new superintendent of the school district. So I'm going to use this opportunity to say two things that are important to me and my family. One is I'd really like to have the district take a look at the curriculum at the elementary level. Me and my family, we feel as though mathematics doesn't get enough attention in the elementary classroom. A lot of time and attention is spent on reading. It's paid off for my kids. But we have seen a dip in their math assessment when it comes to math scores. And we'd just like to see equal attention given to mathematics in the elementary level, especially in the lower grades. And that kind of leads into my second point is I think it should be looked at, especially at the elementary level, but all levels really, how data is being used in the classroom to inform instruction. Like I said, I have two elementary students, both girls in their first math assessments. They scored in the top 5 percentile in reading and math. But it didn't really seem apparent to us that that data was used to inform their instruction, leading to enrichment. You know, we're fortunate enough to have good teachers, and we had a dialogue with their teachers, but it really seemed like their teachers were scrapping for resources that it wasn't really made available to them. I think that should be looked at the district level to make sure that students who are at the more advanced levels do have resources for enrichment, especially at the kindergarten, first grade level when there isn't really gifted education for them to be tested for or moved into. So those are my two concerns, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, did we get the issue online squared away? All right, we'll go to another in person. Rebecca Bevich. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Bevich. I'm a resident of Whitpain Township and a new middle school parent of a sixth grader. So very new to curriculum and school board meeting process after coming from elementary. I came to the curriculum meeting on September 23rd to simply listen and hopefully come away with a better understanding of the curriculum, but especially Freckle, which was not covered at back to school night and which my child couldn't really explain to me other than its computer questions. So at that meeting, I heard about problems, pain points, things that were resolved, things that were still not quite where they needed to be. I heard, I didn't hear anything about some of the scheduling issues that my child has brought to me, but I didn't hear anything about Freckle again. I didn't hear anything about the world language program until another parent was brave enough to stand up and speak, finally explaining to me that sixth graders are only getting maybe 7 classes total. In one language. After years of taking. After years of attending Shady Grove International.
Just hold on for 1 second.
Okay. Thank you. I'm not. Say something again.
Madam President, just so you know, her computer reset. That's what the problem is. The timer for the automatic, we couldn't snooze it.
Try again. Yeah, okay. Thank you, guys. Sorry about that. I'll go back to right where I was, talking about world language. And that another parent finally is the one who explained to me that sixth graders are only getting possibly 7 classes total in any one language. After years of attending Shady Grove International Night and reading a book to my kids' classes in German every year at Read Around the World Day, I can tell you that Wiss Middle is dropping the ball. Last spring, I left a class of 20-something fifth graders who were excited to learn about language after a fun day of hearing parents and family reading to them in all kinds of languages. Now those kids are spending 2 of those potential language classes sitting at a computer, rolling their eyes at Freckle. It is my understanding that the board was one of the driving forces behind scaling back the World Languages program, and therefore I don't understand why at the Curriculum and Technology meeting, the board representative claimed it is not appropriate for them to step into educational matters best decided by school administration. I also don't understand why Dr. Dewan did not take the opportunity to say to the teachers, I hear you and I will look into it. It is fully within your purview to evaluate the middle school schedule at the request of taxpayers and parents. I am a parent and a taxpayer asking you to step in and evaluate the effectiveness of the schedule and to explain to us the benefits of Freckle, a non-instructional online math and ELA practice program. I am asking why long-standing skilled teachers are having to meet a quota of directed practice assignments in Freckle during designated instructional class time, instead of trusting that those teachers can determine what's best for their students. I am asking why skilled world language teachers who want to teach languages to students who want to learn them are being assigned to monitor a computer lab full of students completing online worksheets in subjects that they don't teach. I am asking what benefits we have seen from a program that I can't find many people who support. I'm asking what the cost of that program, what contracts were entered into, and what due diligence that district has done on those contracts and how their policies govern the use of our children's data. And how is the district using the data that they are getting? I believe it is the board's responsibility to step in now, to publicly answer these questions, and to address the concerns of everybody about the middle school curriculum. The events at the curriculum meeting were unbelievably disappointing, and the board is ultimately responsible for their own inaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Is there anyone online, Amanda?
We have no hands raised online.
Okay, then we'll move to the next person. Irene Lewis.
Good evening. My name is Irene Lewis from Lower Gwinnett, and I'm here again at this board meeting because we, the neighbors, have had no opportunity to meet in person to address the noise issue from the middle school chillers. While the administration has responded to emails, no one has been willing to sit with us face to face. The issue impacts all of us, the staff, students, the school board, and especially the neighbors. But meanwhile, this noise problem is a result of poor decisions made by the contractors, Johnson Controls and DeHuey Engineering, when they moved the chillers and changed the equipment back in 2018. They should have anticipated these noise issues. As far as I know, these experts have not been held accountable, and we're left dealing with the consequences. Recently, Harrison Acoustics was brought in, but their data is flawed. For example, in May, they suggested ordering an acoustic blanket and plywood, which are now deemed insufficient. Now, after another study was done in August, a sound barrier wall is recommended, possibly in addition to the blanket. Is this a solution? Has the root cause even been identified? Eric Rudolph, a neighbor and professional engineer, has been directly impacted by the noise and has been offered to help. He has serious concerns about the current sound study and has proposed alternative solutions. He is more familiar with this issue than anyone else. My simple request is this: Mr. Crisfield, Mr. Bricker, and possibly Mr. Russell, please meet with Eric Rudolph in person to discuss this problem. He couldn't be here tonight, but he'll be back tomorrow and he's ready to assist. A direct conversation will provide clarity and help find a real solution that works for everyone. We've spent far too much time emailing and asking for updates, while the administration has had to spend too much time reassuring us. The problem is still not solved. There's noise every weekday from 6 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. It's time to include the neighbors in solving this problem. Is that really too much to ask?
Thank you, Irene. Anyone online, Amanda?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, then we have Saida Settles next.
Hello, Saida Settles, Woodpain Township, topic transparency. I want to speak on first the Homeless School Association. They lack transparency. There are two board members, Miller and.
Please don't say anyone's
Well, the
names.
board members are, there has been no transparency within the board as far as the process of having everyone have the opportunity to become members of the board of the Homeless School Association, and in the voting process and in the cafe. I'm aware that there are not any bylaws, nor is it a 501c. It is being run without any accountability and is self-organized. I'm eager for the retirement of Mr. Crisfield and feel he should have been removed for his tyranny and lack of compassion. I actually feel sad that Dr. Dewan is actually being attacked tonight. And there was never any of this when under his administration. My son was bullied and then punished for defying him. I was then bullied and silenced by the Crisfield and Edmonds. My son is now thriving this year and receiving stellar reviews under an admin that identifies with him. The culture of the community is very self-serving and cliquish. The bullying is stemming from the adult culture of not holding each other accountable, and the children are following suit. Your children are a reflection of your actions, not your words. They're emulating what they say.
Thank you, Saida. Is there anyone online, Amanda?
There's no hands raised online.
All right, then we'll go to our last speaker, Carmina Taylor.
So I want to frame the context here for all of you. I have 40 years or more in the school district as a student from Penland, as a parent from Penland, as an advocate for special ed parents, white and Black, for an advocate for Black boys that get sent to juvenile court because they have fights. I am here because I think it's really rich that everything that I've been saying for the last 10 years has manifested tonight, in the sense that, you know, and I say this to all of you, and I actually speak out to Joe because you are the last standing school board member that has been here since Dr. Crisfield started. And I remember years ago coming to you, trying to show you a character pattern of him and his leadership in New Jersey. All of you guys know that. And I asked you, Joe, and I've said this before. I said, don't you think that the pattern of leadership in New Jersey is something to think about in terms of the pattern of leadership in Wissahickon? He said, I only care about what he does at Wissahickon. So here we are, 9, 10 years later, achievement gap numbers haven't improved. White children are doing worse. White kids in special ed are doing worse. I asked several right-to-know questions about the amount of special ed money that has been spent out versus Judith's term, the previous superintendent, to this term. I waited 60 days to get a response to be declined. So here's some of my questions. Well, I have 1 minute and 30 seconds. And Amy, if you cut me off, we're gonna have a problem because I just drove here from Pittsburgh. And if I go over 30 seconds, I'm here. So number one, can you share what operational successes and oversights that garnered Dr. Crisfield's raises for each contract renewal cycle? I've asked for his contract twice. There are criteria for his raise increase. All of them have been dispelled right here today. So the question is, how is this man retiring here under almost $400,000 in his third pension? Number two, how many times did Dr. Crisfield, over his tenure, initiate his own publicized community engagement plan? The issue is, what has he done on his own? What has Dr. Dewan done on her own? So what programs and new services did Dr. Dewan provide all of you that provided the confidence in her promotion? And lastly, did you confer with Kate, all the teachers and staff in the district about Dewan's relationship with them? Because I can tell you, no one is happy with her leadership at the teachers and at the parent level, and the staff level, the support staff. So I saw this article when I was running here, and it said, here are 2 signs of bad leadership. If you're a bully, and if you don't follow positive feedback, you have been manipulated and I have been retaliated against. Those are all signs of poor leadership. And so what we need to talk about is what we need to do and hold them accountable, because parents, stakeholders, they work for you. All of the subjects that you have brought here are operational and administrative charges, and they have failed. And you all have failed this community, because every school board in Montgomery County had 2 school board meetings. Wait a second, Amy. Had 2 school board meetings in June. You guys were the only one that had 1. So when people talk about being lazy, you did not follow your charge with having 2 meetings in the same month. I have more to say, and I'll be back next month. And if you touch me, you got a problem.
I just want to let everybody know our 3 minutes is in place, just so it's fair to everyone, so that everybody has an equal amount of time to speak. If we allow anyone to go over that, then we should really allow everybody to go over that. So again, it's just for fairness of everyone. And again, and then I have to waive that for everybody. Again, everyone, it's there, it's in place for fairness. It's in place for fairness. Again, so we're gonna move on now. And again, comments, if you ask questions this evening, please take a look at board docs this week for responses. And thank you to everybody that did ask questions this evening. All right, so public comment is closed. We're gonna now move on to board comments. Any fellow board members have comments this evening?
I have a comment.
Yes.
2 years ago, Lower Merion did a superintendent search, and they took Steve Yanni from Upper Dublin. Then last year, Central Bucks did a superintendent search, and they took Steve Yanni from Lower Merion. And now Lower Merion's doing a search. Sure, they would have been happy to take Dr. Dewan from us. Just saying, it's not that there's like all these candidates knocking down our door. The other thing I want to say, you can shake your head, that's fine. This is what I want to say. This is not an election year, Amy. Okay, it's not an election year for me. And there is ample opportunity for anyone who's interested to run for school board. So, you know, put your name in and run for school board, and you can be sitting in this chair. Okay.
All right. Any other comments from other board members?
Amy, I do.
Yeah, Marshall?
It's fine, I'll wait. I can wait. At the beginning of the meeting, we held a moment of silence on the 1-year anniversary of the attack in Israel. And I think that it's important that not only do we reflect on that because of the impact it had on that community, but the community at large. It was an attack on a country with innocent civilians who were not only attacked, many were killed, and some taken hostages. And while we can look at that as saying it was of one particular community, the fact of the matter, it was not. It was a lot of communities. And whether you agreed with one side or the other, this isn't a political statement, it's a humanitarian statement. And the fact of the matter is that when that attack occurred, it wasn't just an attack on Israeli Jews, it was an attack on Israeli Arabs. And there were Americans that were involved in that attack and even in that hostage taking. What does that mean? That means that discrimination doesn't have eyes. It doesn't look at certain people or certain types. Everybody was affected by that. And so 1 year on, I think it's important to look back and not only have condolences for those who lost family and friends and lost their lives, but we also look for hope for those who are in captivity, those who were injured, and we hope for the best for all of them, because halfway around the world, we hope for the best for all of us as well. And I think we should take that to heart, not only because of what's going on there, but we should also look at it from a perspective of how fortunate we are here. We are incredibly fortunate here that we live in a wonderful community where we can all get together, we can discuss, we can debate, we can bicker, we can laugh together in a community that we still love, where our kids are still safe, they still get a top quality education, they still live in a wonderful community, and they still have incredible opportunities that many people across the world don't have. So let's take that into consideration as we look at all of the issues that are important to us, which at the end of the day are the well-being, the safety and happiness of each other and our families. So in that light, I think we should remember today, not only as an anniversary, but also as an opportunity, and let's look for hope for everybody. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Marshall. Any, Zeppi?
Reed, is today your first meeting?
Yes, it
I'm
is.
sorry that this was your first encounter. It's not always like this. I am excited for the new juniors coming to be part of our school board. It is an important piece of what we do. In fact, I love when I talk to other school boards and they ask us how we do this, and other school boards wanna kind of mirror this. And you know, Joe Antonio was the one who really pushed for this several years back. So I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad that you're here. And don't worry, we're not going to run late every single session, I promise, but hopefully you'll come back.
And Reed, just to add that you have a very engaged community, which is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, so we'll be posting on board docs and answered any questions from this evening. All right, any other board comments? All right, then do we have a motion to adjourn?
Please, yes. Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Well, we got some.